Hi everyone. Today we're taking a look at adding and subtracting of simple unit fractions. Right? So simple unit fractions means these are going to be fractions that are like common. They're not going to be things that we don't see often. Okay, so this problem we're going to add. So I'm going to add 1/5 and 1/10. I have 1/5 of something and 1/10 of something. So here's the very first thing we have to do. When we add and subtract, I have to have common denominators. To find common denominators, I need to find the least common denominator. So I'm going to find what's the least common denominator between 5 and 10. So remember, if you need to write out the multiples, what are my multiples of 5? That means I'm going to count by 5s. So 5, 10, 15, 20. You can do that. Count by 10s. Again, what are these called? I'm listing out the multiples. Multiples of 10. It means I'm going to count by 10. 10, 20, 30, 40. That should be good enough. Now I'm going to compare my two rows. Where's the first number that's the same? The smallest number that's the same? Well, here I have a 10 and here I have a 10. So what's my least common denominator going to be? It's going to be 10. So I now need to write an equivalent fraction for 1/5. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to rewrite my problem so that it's going vertical, because I like to add vertical. That makes more sense to me. So I'm going to have 1/5 plus 1/10. Right? So I'm finding what's my equivalent fraction to 1/5. Well, we just said instead of having a denominator of 5, our least common denominator was 10. So my denominator is going to be 10. How do I find my numerator? Well, I need to know 5 times what gives me 10? Well, I know that 5 times 2. That means I need whatever I do to the bottom, do to my denominator, I have to do to my numerator. So 1 times 2, because I multiplied by 2 on the bottom, multiply by 2 on the top. 1 times 2 is 2. And then, did I change anything about the 10's the same, so it's just going to stay the same. That's an easy one. Now I'm ready to add. Once I see that my denominators are both the same, so 10 is my common denominator, I just now need to add together my two numerators. So I need to add together 2 plus 1 is 3. So my final answer is going to be 3/10. That cannot be simplified. Right? So this was an example of adding a simple unit fraction. Find the common denominator and then add. Okay? This time, our next problem, we're going to look at a subtraction problem. So let's look at our problem here. Looks like I'm going to have 1/2 and 1/4. Guess what the first step is? We have to have common denominators. So again, I'm going to rewrite 1/2 minus 1/4. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is find the least common multiple. So again, multiples of 2, 2, 4, 6, 8. And these are my multiples. Multiples of 4, 4, 8, 12, 16. Okay, let's see if we can find something that's in common. Oh, got one. 4, 4, it's the smallest number. So now I need to find an equivalent fraction for 1/2. So instead of saying 1/2, I can say how many fourths. I multiply by 2, so I multiply by 2. So 1/2 and 2/4 are equivalent fractions. Okay? Now 1/4 already has that common denominator of 4, so I don't have to do anything with it. So I have 2/4 minus 1/4. I know my denominator is going to be 4. 2 minus 1 equals 1/4. Okay, so let's use a picture to help us with this problem. All right, so let's say that I have, pardon my messy circle here, but I know that circles can be divided up into 4 equal spots, right? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let's say that I have half of my circle, or half of my pizza. So I have half of a pizza here, and I eat 1/4 of it. So I'm taking away 1/4 of my pizza. How much of my pizza is going to be left over? Well, how much of my pizza is still shaded in? 1 out of how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1/4. So visually, I get the same answer. 1/2 minus 1/4. I'm left with 1/4 that I get if I use numbers. Okay, so this is our example of subtracting using simple unit fractions. And for both adding and subtracting fractions, most important thing I need to do is find my least common denominator. Once I find that least common denominator, I can add or subtract as I need to. Right, I hope you enjoyed our tutorial today, and we'll see you next time.